Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So, we finally got the most anticipated movie of this year, Dune. And I want to say that if there's one word that describes my feelings about this movie as I was walking out of the theater, is that it was overhyped. Before I jump into the review though, I'll say that this is going to be super spoiler heavy, so if you haven't watched this movie for whatever reason, this is your spoiler warning. Should I give a brief synopsis of the movie? Okay, I'll do one relatively short because I'll assume that the majority of you have already watched the movie. Set in the far future, Dune follows Paul Atreides and his family, the noble house of Atreides, who are trusted into a dangerous war in and for the planet Arrakis or Dune. Amidst all of this, the fulfillment of a prophecy is taking place that thrusts Paul into the spotlight of the conflict. Right off the bat, I do want to say that Denis Villeneuve is such a talented director who makes great movies that look beautiful. And Dune is no exception. It's a very well made movie that looks beautiful. It's one of the positive things that I have to say. It's visually beautiful. The cinematography is alluring to look at, as well as the costumes, set pieces, and the airships. So in terms of the design of the world building of the movie, that's where it's at its best. I do feel that the colors that Denis uses are a bit muted, similar to Blade Runner 2049 and Arrival. And I would have preferred to have seen a lot more color pop, especially when we're in Paul's home world, but I think that's a bit more of a nitpick than anything else. And in terms of the special effects, there were certain effects that I was just thinking, wow, I wonder how they were able to do that. I'd also like to say that the casting was stellar. It was perfectly casted. My problems though were with everything else in the movie, because just as good as the movie looks, I don't feel there's a lot of emotional depth anywhere. No real character arcs, no real themes. Paul is a very stoic character. That's one of the points of the character, and while it plays off really well in the novel because we're reading his thoughts, in the movie though, it feels like there's a level of emotional depth that he is missing. There's a part near the end of the movie where Paul gets a vision, and it distresses him so much that he blames his mother for this and calls himself a freak. And for me, this was such a left turn that it took me out of the movie for a good second. And that's because I don't feel there was a strong character arc or motivation for Paul. Beforehand, we had never really seen him have these outbursts or any sort of dislike for these visions. Just bear with me for a second. Who was everyone's favorite character? It was Jason Momoa's Duncan Idaho, right? Guess what he had? He had a character arc. He wanted to protect the House of Atreides. He was a swordmaster and Duke Leto's right-hand man, and he basically wanted to protect the House of Atreides. That's what he wanted throughout the movie, and his sacrifice is consistent with that, which made his death memorable. So I suppose you can say that loyalty is a theme. Sure, why not? And yeah, sure, betrayal could be another theme. The Empire betrayed Duke Leto. The Doctor betrayed Duke Leto. But it's not as emotionally resonant because only Duke Leto sees the Doctor's betrayal. Imagine if the rest of the family had also seen this betrayal, like in the way that it was shown in David Lynch's Dune, which I'd hate to compare them, but the Doctor's betrayal was done really well in my opinion in that movie. Maybe they could have made it better by having the rest of the family seeing the Doctor's betrayal, and the Doctor's actions could have affected Paul so much that he grew paranoid to the point that he mistrusted his mother when they were out alone in the desert, and that they once again had to say that fear should not pass me, that chant or prayer, that the one that they said during Paul's box test. But instead it's not. It seems like almost every other time there's a hint of an emotional scene, the movie seems to take a U-turn away from it. It's no coincidence that my favorite scene in the movie is a conversation between Paul and his father, where Paul tells his father that he doesn't want to be a ruler. This review is rather short because I wanted to focus on my issues with the movie, and also because I feel that that's because the movie is 2 hours and 40-some minutes and you can feel that runtime, and there are long stretches of the movie where really nothing happens. Although I think that the biggest issue with this is that it's a part one, there's a lot of story in this that just basically building up for the next part. So a lot of the things don't really have payoffs. I wish that the movie would have ended with the destruction of the House of Atreides, or better yet, when Paul and his mother are left for dead in the desert. But instead, we just get an extra 25 minutes of epilogue that just feels tacked on. Ultimately, though, everyone wanted to watch this and everyone did watch this. Part 2 has been greenlit. And I feel like part 1 passing a test of time will be determined by how good part 2 is. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And yeah, that has been my review for Dune Part 1. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all for the next one.